Good evening from whichever place you're watching this video from. My name is Eston Oboch, and I want to share the history of my career. So, first of all, I am an engineer by profession, and how I got into engineering is a very interesting story. So, ever since I was young, I always wanted to become an astronaut, and the reason was very simple. I always ask myself, why is it that people want to become big things here on earth? You'd become a banker, you'd become a policeman, you'd become a politician, you'd become even the president. And we are basically on one small space on this terrestrial place. And in my mind, I was like, wouldn't it be grand, wouldn't it be beautiful to be up there looking at the world as if you are God gazing upon the earth? And yeah, that's what actually made me to want to become an astronaut. I think it was a very grand idea for my age, because by the time I was thinking about it, I was like around 8 years old. And eventually, over time, as time progressed, the idea became more buttressed in my life. And now this is where the cash came in, the cash 22 came in. So I was in high school, I remember this very well, and my principal came into class, and he was just asking, by then we were in Form 3, he was just asking us, every single individual, what would you want to do when you finish your studies? So some of them were saying, we want to be musicians, we want to be sports athletes. Some of them wanted to be lawyers, some of them wanted to be doctors, obviously. And he came to me and he was like, what do you want to be? I told him I wanted to be an astronaut. I have never seen a white man laugh like that in his life. It was so embarrassment as we put it. And yeah, I think that's when I had to pivot myself and plan to do something else. So I was good in math, I was good in physics, and I was good in all sciences. So in my mind I was like, why not? I can try to do something that has relations with sciences. On the same note, or rather on the same breath, my parents were actually advocating for me to become a doctor. Having a doctor in the family would have been a feather in their cap rather. And I remember we'd have conversations with my dad, and he was like, unajua ukishakuwa mkubwa udaktari ni kitu poa sana, and hautaikosa kazi ukikuwa daktari. You can even start your own farm, you can even do your own stuff. There is always a market, because people will always get sick. As long as Chris does not come back, people will get sick. So that was my dad. My mom on the other side also wanted me to be a doctor, because I think at the end of the day, where I come from, I am a Luo by nature and a Luo by tradition, and there is a bit of prestige that comes with that title, doctor so and so. So it looked like it would have been something really nice for them, but for me, I get squeamish around blood, which is quite strange because I like watching movies which have a lot of gore. Anyway, finishing high school, I got a decent grade. And when I was doing my selections, I actually put in actuarial science because I found it to be something that was a bit novel. And since I was good in math, I wanted to go into that direction. But of course, my dad would have none of that. And it was like, kijana lazima utafanya medicine. So as we were waiting for the selection, by then it was JAB, now it's called KUCCPS. As we were waiting for JAB to give us the green light to basically do whichever course I was now hopefully going to do, I was given a call to go and do engineering in the Technical University of Kenya. So that was, by then it was called Bachelor of Technology in Electrical and Electrical Engineering. And I thought that was a very interesting course, which I would be doing, and it was 4 years, unlike the normal engineering, which was 5 years. So I had started with my dad. We had a sit down with the family, and after a lot of back and forth, they agreed that instead of spending lots of money going for me to go and do parallel in medicine, they just rather let me go and do engineering. So yeah, I joined TUK like that in 2012. I remember it was May 5th, and it was a very interesting experience joining campus, and the difference of expectations that I had when I was still in high school. It really affected me, and I think it really went into my mind. It was inculcated in my mind that I was now in a whole different setup. Being in a place where you now have to mind your own stuff. You are the one who takes care of your time. You are the one who takes care of your schedule, so that there's no one who'll be ringing up the bell for you when you're in campus. There's no one who'll be checking up to see if you attended classes or not. The lecturers might skip or not, so it depends on how you utilize that time that you find to be free. So anyway, I joined and went and did a Bachelor of Technology, and this was also a very interesting experience. When I was there, we realized that a technologist isn't really on the same rank as an engineer. This is a disclaimer for anyone who's doing a Bachelor of Technology. It's not a bad course, it's a good course. But at that particular point, it was something that was also very new to us. So being that people historically knew about engineering, there was the push for us to switch from the BTech system to the Bachelor of Engineering system. So after having lots and lots of discussions between the administration and the school student leadership, who were actually members of Bachelor of Technology and Bachelor of Engineering classes, they decided that we could now switch from BTech to BEng. So now I moved from a 4-year course to a 5-year course. In my mind I was like, okay, not bad. I will now become an engineer. I want to become a technologist, but I'll have to spend an extra year in school, something that I had not really planned to do. Anyway, going ahead, I realized that the expectation of both courses, Bachelor of Technology and Bachelor of Engineering, were quite similar in that we were basically doing math. And I told you I was good in math when I was in high school, but things changed when we got to campus. Math was crazy. It was a nightmare. I'd imagine that when you're in campus, when you're in high school rather, you'd be doing courses which had to do with, or rather units which turned in calculus, which actually had background in calculus. And now campus was a whole other level. I remember we were doing partial differential equations, ordinary differential equations, Laplacian transforms, Taylor series. We were doing all these kinds of mathematics, and some people had to turn away along the way because things proved to be hard. And I even remember this one time we had a lecturer. I want to mention his name, but he was an old guy. And what I found to be interesting about this person was this was when I was in third year. We had already switched to Bachelor of Engineering. The guy comes, and apparently he's a friend to my dad. So my dad was also in the institution, or rather in the academic circles, but in a different university. So my dad actually had networks that ran through a couple of universities. So I tell my dad that, Dad, so your friend is my lecturer. And my dad is like, oh, that guy, Jua, you ni super unapata direct. My God. If you've never heard of what is called negative reinforcement, this is where negative reinforcement comes in. Have you ever been scared about failing so much that you end up failing? That's exactly what happened. The lecturer would come into class and he would have some really grandiose ideas about his experience, because anyway he was probably in his 80s or something, and he would be like, in my heyday I went to this place, I went to space, courtesy of the Germans. I'm not sure if that is true. We'll have to fact check that. But yeah, he would tell us all of these fancy stories, and he would come back and be like, so the class is over. You guys basically have just shared you within the story of my life. but you'll have to go and study this course for your own. So do this, because university, it's universal. Just go to Cornell University, and he used to have a very British accent. So he'll be like, so when you go to the internet, go to Cornell University, and when you're in Cornell University, you will go and look for this documentation talking about Gaussian calculations, Gaussian calculus. And when you look at Gaussian calculus, also look at ODEs, and our examination is going to be based on what Cornell University is teaching. Now, for anyone who doesn't know Cornell University is an Ivy League university in the States. CC, we're in the heart of Nairobi, in a very small campus. I think it is 3 acres if I'm not wrong. And we are now studying notes which were given to students in Cornell University, and we expect to pass an exam. Yes. So obviously, the truth of this whole story is that very few people passed. I was not included in the category. I was not the chosen one in that particular matter. Yeah, I ended up failing. That was the first supplementary that I got in campus. And it really made me really rethink the course that I was doing. At this particular moment, we were also having some other issues happening in school. And one of them was in regards to the accreditation process. One thing that you need to understand is that in Kenya, courses are basically ascertained, or rather accredited by the governing bodies and the Senate of the universities. But when it now moves to the professionalism of these courses, it now has to be governed by a separate body. And for our case, there was the body called EBK, the Engineering Board of Kenya. Before it was called the ERB, Engineers Registration Board. So EBK had sent a circular in their papers saying that anyone who is studying in a university that is not accredited by EBK will not be considered to be an engineer. And any public institution that gives these people placement is subject to penalties. I'm telling you, people freaked out. It was crazy. It was like people were going almost ape dots when this came out. And interestingly enough, I'd say conveniently enough, we were just about to sit for our exams. And I'll be honest, people hadn't studied. So this was basically the defining factor. It was rather the last straw the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to this. Having lecturers who had not come to class, people not being studied for the examination, as well as the fact that we are not going to get any work even after we finish campus, was a whole thing. And it basically cascaded. It just snowballed to a strike happening. And I remember I was in school, there were classmates, not mentioning any names, who were there, and they were like, this thing cannot happen, we won't allow this to happen. And one class moved to another class, another class moved to another class, and essentially it was an exodus of students moving from classes, going and just starting to create chaos. And yeah, there was a strike that happened. And mind you, I had mentioned this earlier, but that was the very same week that Obama was supposed to come into the country as the president of the United States. 2 days before he was to come. And you can imagine, you're a student studying in the heart of the city, and you want to cause chaos, you want to cause fracas, when the whole capital city is under high alert because of the arrival of the president of the United States. Kufumba na kufumbua, tulipelekwa nyumbani vizuri. We're just taken home, told, you guys go sit down, sit in the corner, think about your life. Tukapelekwa nyumbani, certainly. And it was supposed to be a short stint, because after strikes, students, the university usually say that you are now home for 2 weeks, or rather they say indefinitely, but after 2 weeks they tell you to come back. So this indefinitely became an actual indefinitely, because now that we were away, the school had enough capacity to bring in new students because the students were supposed to be joining. So the school was still occupied. And now this was taken as a pretext for us to just stay away. So you can imagine, I was supposed to do a 4-year course. Now I'm doing a 5-year course. And I've now been sent home for a full year. All the students who are doing engineering, apart from geospatial and aeronautical engineering, all the students were sent home for a full 1 academic year. Yeah, so I got into a slump because I felt like time was really moving and there was no progress that was being made. It was more or less like I was mark timing. Yeah, so an extra year has been added because of the switch in courses, another extra year because of the turmoil that had happened in school. Now, what happens next is we are told to go back the following year and repeat the semester. Remember that semester we were just about to finish it because we're basically going to do the exams. We're told to repeat the semester because we hadn't essentially done the exams, and essentially just be ready for us to transition to the next class after doing a full semester. Yeah, so it was a sad affair. But what I thank the universe for is that during this time, I was able to find ways and means to at least network. I was able to go and work with IBM as an intern and do a couple of volunteer work for them. I was able to go and do a couple of stuff with another company called iHub had just been coming up. It is now a big thing, but by then it was just coming up. I had gone and done a couple of coding work. I had gone and developed a couple of softwares. Some of them are just in my archives, sitting pretty and gathering dust. Yeah, and I was able to develop myself in a way. But you can also imagine the fact that I still have perpetual school that is not ending. And this is essentially touching on the experience that you as students are having right now with COVID and postponement of classes and the uncertainty of how things are going to progress. I was in basically the same place as you. There was that feeling that things weren't really moving. And of course, I got into a dark place. I wasn't really sure how things were going to go. But yeah, this whole process ended up becoming a blessing in disguise. There's a company, the company that I currently work for, in my 5th year, who came in, and it was actually my 5th year. We were just about to finish campus for that matter. They came in and they did a recruitment, and they took some of us, and we got placement. You can imagine in the 21st century when people finish campus and you have to go on tarmac, you have to go and look for work. We were put in a place where a company, which is a multinational for that matter, came in and was able to absorb us. So in my mind, I'd always been imagining that if I had finished school in the 4 years that I was supposed to do initially, or in the 5 years, I wouldn't have been in the right place at the right time for me to join this company. And my parting shot after all this ranting and all this speaking and banter is, as a student, whether you're doing engineering, whether you're doing medicine, whether you're doing whichever course you're doing, just know that there's always something for you out here. And keep on, just as we see that cat hanging from that tree, always hang fast and hold on. There's always something good for you. And this has been my career. I am doing well as we're speaking. I thank God for the far that He has brought me. And yeah, it has allowed me to also go into doing some of my hobbies, such as speaking in front of you, in front of the camera, and always know that there's always something out here for you. Even when you finish school, even when you finish campus, when you finish, whether you're in high school and you're just about to transition to a tertiary institution, always know that there's something out here that you can do. Don't sit in the house, chilling and waiting for a silver spoon to be put in your mouth. Just go out there and do something with your life. Expand your boundaries. Network with people, interact with people, engage yourself, develop skills, develop your faculties, and indeed, things will always open up. Final parting shot. There is this quote. I don't remember who said it, but it's something that I find to be very profound. It says, "Inspiration should always find you working." Inspiration should always find you working. The Jeff Bezoses of this world, the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerbergs of this world, always were found working when they got their big idea, and their big ideas now are unicorns which are running the world. So go out there, be smart, be cool, and always work hard and work smart. This is Career Talk with PhotoGenie.